Yeah, and our guest today on Absolutely Famous is Kent Morgan, or Shunta as he's known to his mates, and myself, of course. And Kent was a very handy cricketer out of the Celtic club in Blenheim, New Zealand, and played soccer for a couple of clubs, the last one being Central, out at the moment with an injured shoulder. Fair to say, Kent's a pretty flamboyant personality. He's certainly well known in Blenheim for all the right reasons, and he's famous for posting nude photos of himself at various scenic points around the province, and these pics I might add, are very tactfully done and good taste and totally non-offensive. And the man himself joins us. Hi Kent, great to have you on Absolutely Famous.
Johnny, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Got any photo shoots planned for this week?
Oh, not this week, mate. The rig's a bit sloppy at the moment, so I don't want to. It's been a horrible winter here, so there's not much sun, and we're a little bit wide and a little bit hairy to be showing anything off at the moment. But give us a couple of weeks, and hopefully halfway through October there might be something come through.
So we'll look forward to that. The
Mate,
pics, where did the idea come from?
Um,
Was it just a prank or something, or?
no, what was it? I think the first time I did one, I went up nice little spot here in Mount Vernon, and I was pretty hungover, and I thought it'd be just something to wake me up and bring me back to my senses. So I sort of took off the kit and set the camera up on the bloody one of the monuments up there, and away we went, and it got a bit of traction, and a few people had a bit of a giggle, and I went from there. And as you said, I try and do it tastefully. I'd never do it front on, well, not yet anyway. The money would have to be right for that. But I don't mind. It's all in a bit of fun, and if I'm taking the piss out of myself, then I'd rather do it that way than take the mickey out of someone else. So it's all all for a good laugh.
Well, you picked some beautiful scenic spots. I mean, the one overlooking the ferry and overlooking Picton, bloody beautiful.
Yeah, got the snout out down at the snout, so that was good. I had a mate that used to follow me around, and he'd be the guy that would be, unfortunately dragged along to take them with me, and he didn't really know what he got himself into. But he always used to come along for the ride, and he always used to be the one there to keep an eye on the walking track, make sure no one else was coming. But he's moved down to Christchurch now, so I've had to include the wife a little bit every now and again. Now she's not too keen, so that's why they haven't been done as much. So yeah, she's sort of pretty reserved when it comes to that, but it's all right.
So Samantha, what does she think of it? Does she take the photos now?
She takes the odd one. She's done a couple. There are a couple during lockdown that she's taken the odd one, and since I've started working where I work now, I've got to be a bit more responsible where I'm doing them. Back then I wasn't. I was working at the pub, in one of the pubs here in Blenheim, so there wasn't really too much sort of saying no to what I was doing. But now I've got to be a little bit more professional with what I'm doing. So I only tend to put one out. I put a couple out during lockdown, and I put a couple out every sort of every sort of Christmas Eve. I've done one just to farewell the year and give a bit of a festive cheer to the year.
I love the one. I love the one of you lying down with a pizza all over you, covered with a giant pizza. How did that happen?
Oh, I've been out at a function that night, and I've got a bad reputation for sort of spending $150-200 on chicken nuggets at McDonald's when I'm 3/4 cut. And I didn't really have that on me that night, so I organised that. I rang up Pizza Hut and I said to them, look, can you make a delivery to my house? And this was 7:30 I rang them. I said, can you make a delivery to my house about 5 minutes before you close? And just put a note on the box saying this is for drunk Kent when he gets home. So when my wife answered the door at 10:55, this little chap was sort of, schoolboy, turned up at the house with this metre-long pizza. I think they call it the limo. And he turned up at the front door, and he said, oh, I've got this for your husband. There's a note on it. My wife read it. She said, this is for drunk Kent when he gets home. So she messaged me saying, that's a good idea, thinking in advance. And I turned up home about 3 a.m, bit of a state, and I went up to the bedroom. I said, look, I've got an idea. Can you bloody light the pizza on me and take a photo of it? Then I'll just sit here and eat it. And I stayed up till 4 finishing the pizza. And yeah, I struggled to figure out which one was the mushroom and which one wasn't when I was eating it, though.
You got through it all right?
Yeah, we managed. There was a side of chips and everything as well, which I don't know how I do it. I mean, I managed to put it all away, but yeah, I wasn't feeling great the next morning, but it was worth it. It was a good feed, and lined the stomach pretty well, so no, we were good.
That's a great effort. So when you're taking photos, you're setting up. What are you looking for? Do you sort of do a bit of prep before you do them? Pardon?
Pardon?
Do you do a bit of prep before
I
you?
like to do it in places where most Mulberrians know the scene. So, you know, whether it be the old, I've done a couple at the old Aotearoa Bridge, and as I said, a couple up Mount Vernon, the Snout. I've done. I wanted to do one at Seymour Square, but there are cameras around there now, so I pulled the pin on that. But yeah, no, there's a few other places. I think a while ago, I had a friend that was living in the apartment above the old Adventure Sports on the corner of Market Street there.
Yeah.
That had the you know, the clock and the advertising sign, the electrical advertising. I got up there and managed to get one done there. It's just somewhere that most Mulberryans will know and be able to, you know, oh, I've been there, or something from their childhood, their time from, you know, bring back a little bit of, you know, memory for them. So just a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, that's brilliant. As you say, I suppose you have to have a spy out, making sure nobody's going to burst in on you.
Well, I try and do it at times of the day as well, where there's not too many people around. Like I managed to get on the old Opawa Bridge one afternoon and do it there. That was before it closed down, but we were sort of hiding behind the bends, the bananas, and traffic cleared for about 20 seconds, so I quickly sprinted out and got that done and hid behind the rafters again and put the clothes back on. But sort of, you know, you pick your time, sort of either 5 or 6 at night on a Sunday, or, you know, very early doors on a Saturday morning. Lake Rotoiti was a good one. That was quite a hard case, but there are a few people around there, being a scenic spot. That is what it is.
You have to watch out for the sandflies there. You'd be in all sorts of trouble.
Mate, I was more worried about the eels. Man.
And the cold, I suppose, much more conducive to summer photography than winter.
Oh, look, mate, it's small enough as it is. I mean, the cold's not going to make it any smaller.
Classic.
It's so small.
So what's your next plan? Have you got another one lined up?
I not off the top of my head. Like there's a few that I really want to get done. They're a little bit risky, but I won't go into too much detail because, you know, I don't want to give away too many secrets. But I've had a couple of mates that are got pretty reasonable careers that have said that they can sort of link me up with a couple of things, so I'm looking forward to that. I had a friend of a friend runs a winery company here in Blenheim that, funnily enough, a lot of their wine is sold in the Ukraine, and they use a lot of nude images for their advertising. And they asked me one day if I'd like a case of wine if I went up and took a few photos around Blenheim. So again, went up to the top of Mount Vernon on a nice sunny day and got the Rarangi coastline in the background and the sea and everything, and did a few sort of creative shots for them that they it was about 2 years ago I did that one, but they keep popping up every now and again on social media, so they're still using them. So I must have done something right with that one, and yeah, got a case of wine out of it, so I was happy and the wife was happy, and yeah, happy days.
Oh, good stuff. So, like you say, you haven't had any offers from Tourism New Zealand yet. I think if I was the Marlborough tourism outfit, I'd be getting in touch with you pronto and jacking a bit of stuff up.
Look, yeah, I mean, look, if it came to it, I'd probably do it. But there's probably they've probably got a requirement for the sort of figure they're looking for, and I don't know if I'd fit that bill.
Well, you work out. You regularly work out at the gym, so you look pretty fit to me.
I've got to get amongst it, mate. Otherwise, I'd end up looking like the old man, and we can't have that happen.
No, he learned some bad habits off me too, and now I learned some bad ones off him back in the 70s.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
I can well imagine.
Yeah, and of course, we had a great laugh a few years ago when you won a car on was it the Paul Henry show, breakfast show?
Yeah, what was that? It was Shivers. That was 2014. That was a bit of a laugh. Yeah, just sitting at home one night. I used to religiously watch the show. And they put out on the old Twitter that they were going to be at a cafe that I knew in Wellington. And I said to the wife, I got home from work and I said to her, let's pop down to the cafe. And she goes, no, look, I've had a bit of a busy day. I don't really want to go down. So our flatmate turned up home, and I said to her, come down with me. We'll go there. And she wasn't too keen either. And I said to them, I'd buy them both a bit of cake if they came down with me. And they were in the car before I was at that stage. So we drove down to the cafe, and it was actually quite a hard case because the producer that was picking the contestants, he spent a bit of time in Blenheim working for the Marlborough Express, and he knew a couple of people, a gentleman by the name of Simon Wong, and he had a chat to me and had a chat to about 5 or 6 others that were quite keen on doing it, and then he came up and said about 20 seconds before they went on the air, we're going to pick you. And I said, rightio. So they pulled me across, and chucked the headset on with the earphones in my ears, and next thing I know, I've got Paul Henry in my ear saying, "Oh, we're going to come back from the commercial break in about 5 seconds," and then that was it. And next thing I know, I'm being asked to do a bit of a quiz, and yeah, away we went. And, yeah, managed to pull away with a car, which was quite jammy, but it was good for a laugh.
But what sort of car was it? Pretty, well, obviously a new one.
Yeah, it was a Kia Cerato. So back then, what was it? It was a 2014 Kia Cerato back then, brand new. So
yeah,
that was nice of them. They flew me and the wife up to Auckland to collect the car live on TV. And, came back down to Wellington, and about a week later it arrived in the garage, and we never had any intention on keeping it. It was always the plan to sell it. I mean, we didn't need a $35,000 bloody car. It wasn't going to do any good for us. So I put it on Trade Me for 30 grand. And about a month later, I had the dealership that brought it down to Wellington say to me, "Oh, look, we can see it's still on Trade Me for 30 grand. We've got a couple of interested people here. We'll give you 29. And I said, no, I want 30. I'm sticking to my guns. And they said, well, we'll give you 29. And I said, no, 30 it is, or, bugger off. And they went away and thought about it for a week and rang me back the week later and said, oh, look, they've had a chat, they've made a decision, I'll give you 30 grand. And I said, oh, well, you shagged me around for a week, I want 31 now. And I hung up. 5 minutes later, they rang me up and said, oh, we'll give you 31, take it or leave it. And I said, you've got a deal. So that worked out all right.
You're a hard negotiator.
Oh, mate, my wife's Dutch, so she's taught me a few things. Tight as anything, those buggers.
Classic. And, of course, your wife's from the Van Hattem family, isn't she?
Yeah, no, she is, mate. Her uncle Frank went to the 82 World Cup with the All Whites and had a pretty successful career in New Zealand football standards for Manureira up north, I think it was, or Mangere, one of those two teams. And well-known family. Her grandfather Fritz was one of the, had a lot of coaching with New Zealand football, and so it's pretty cool to be part of that sort of, see a side of New Zealand football history.
Yeah, sure was. Well, Frank, it was a bit of a hard case how he became the number one goalie, because I think Richard Wilson, who I played cricket with at Lancaster Park, played every single lead-up match and didn't play any. Yeah, played none at the World Cup. It's a classic story. Richard must have upset someone.
I haven't got the down low on that from Frank yet. He keeps it pretty close to his chest, so you'll probably take that one to the grave with him. But no, he's a good man, Frank. Bloody good rooster.
Yeah, he did a great job for New Zealand then. That good times. Of course, dress-wise, you're pretty flamboyant with that, Kent. I've seen you bloody rock out a frock every now and then, and that's all part of the.
Oh, look, mate, I'm not afraid of putting things on like that. It doesn't faze me in the least. As long as my bits are covered 9 times out of 10, then I'll wear anything. That's at the end of the. I remember when I was a young fella, I used to dress up in my grandmother's clothes and go out and mow her bloody lawns. I had a neighbour come over one day and have a conversation with me, thinking I was my grandmother, and whether her vision was impaired at her age or whatever it was quite an awkward situation having to tell her that I wasn't actually my grandmother. But as I said to you earlier on, I'd do anything for a laugh. As long as it's not taking the piss out of someone else, I'm happy to put myself in the firing line. That's brilliant. It's all fun and games.
We love people who can laugh at themselves, mate. And of course, You're keen to try different foods. I've seen you chew through a tin of cat food. How did that go?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, it wasn't the worst thing I've eaten. I made a bet with a mate. I think it was around Origin. Might have been Origin 1 or Origin 2. It might have been. No, it was. Sorry, I lie. It was the Warriors playing the Storm, and I said to my mate, I said, if the Warriors don't get 50 put on them, I'll eat a can of cat food. And they lost by 40 in the end. So I was, I was close, but he held me to it, and I was like, I'm a man of my word. So I went down to the old supermarket and had a look around the cat food section, and I was reading the ingredients on the back of them because I know a lot of them have got quite a bit of shit in them, and this one had a bit of charcoal in it. And I thought, well, that surely can't be good for the. But everything else had raw chicken in that, and I was like, oh, what would you rather, raw chicken or charcoal? So I grabbed the one with charcoal in it, and it needed a lot more salt, mate, because this thing was bland. I mean, I'm a shit cook, but this here was average. But I mean, it didn't taste foul; it just had no flavour to it. It was like the texture in your mouth was like kissing a girl with bronchitis. It's just quite mucusy, but we got it away. We put it away. It was all right.
Good work, and no after effects?
No, nothing at all, mate. That was pretty good. I actually found out from someone afterwards that a couple of those cat food places employ people to actually taste test their food to make sure it's actually fit for consumption. So if they can do it, surely I thought, no, there's no harm in this.
Exactly. exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody classic. So if you're looking back to the photos, if you're looking for a perfect place, if you had the perfect
Yep.
place to do one of your nude butt shots, where would it be? The place and the occasion.
Mate, I've been to the MCG a couple of times and I absolutely love the place. And aside from streaking on the field and getting tackled by one of their big bouncers, I think, standing at one of the ends where you've got the pitch in behind you, I think that'd be quite neat. I'd like to, do that, overlooking the field. I'm a bit of a football buff, so I wouldn't mind heading over to Old Trafford or something like that. But, I mean, I wouldn't turn any place down. I mean, it'd be good fun to, if there's places people like the idea of, let me know around, and I'll give it a nudge. Spending a bit of time in Wellington, I wouldn't mind standing at one end of Courtney Place on a busy Saturday night or something like that, and having the Golden Mile down in the background. But
Brilliant, brilliant. Oh, fantastic, mate.
Arana Park and the Wellington Zoo and the Lion Enclosure or something like that.
Yeah, that'd get the blood boiling.
Oh yeah, mate. I'll tell you what. Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good value. I think there'd be a bit more shrinkage there going on than a cold Southerly.
Classic. We love your work, Kent. Keep it up. And just what we'll do at the end of course, when I do the story, we'll show a good collage of the photos that you've taken. I'm sure people will have a good laugh, and it's just great to see somebody who can actually laugh at themselves and doesn't take life too seriously.
Mate, you've got to do that these days, don't you? Everything's been a bit serious the last few years, so if that's all I can do for people and make them happy, then I end up being happy as well. It's a win-win.
Absolutely, it's a win-win for us too, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, Kent. It's much appreciated.
Too easy, Johnny. Thanks, mate.